It's that time of the year again, people. Here is Football Daily's Premier League Team of the Season. Let's go. Goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. Having waited in the shadows at Arsenal for nearly a decade, spending time on loan in the lower leagues and in Spain, Emi Martinez earned a £17 million switch to Aston Villa following an excellent spell filling in for Bernd Leno at the end of the 2019-20 campaign. Considering he had played just 9 league games that term, it wasn't a move without risk. But it's paid off handsomely, with the Argentinian goalkeeper saving Villa's skin on a number of occasions this season. According to post-shot expected goals, which measures the likelihood of a chance finding the back of the net based on the quality of finish, he has saved 8 more goals than he should have, ranking him first in the league in this regard, with his 77% save percentage only matched by Man City's Ederson. Meanwhile, only City, United, Chelsea and Arsenal have conceded fewer than Dean Smith's side, with only Ederson and Edouard Mendy keeping more than Martinez's 14 clean sheets. Undoubtedly the best shot stopper in the Prem this term. Defender, Joao Cancelo. After a disappointing first season in the Premier League, Joao Cancelo really came into his own in 2021. The Portuguese fullback has been one of Man City's most consistent performers this term, even impressing when the side was still finding their feet early in the campaign, and his ability to play on the right, left and even occasionally in midfield has proved crucial to Pep Guardiola as he's rotated the squad on a week-by-week basis. The 26-year-old ranks third among fullbacks in the league for chances created per 90 with 1.8 and first for shots with 1.5, while he's also been the busiest defender at the Etihad, leading Pep's squad for both tackles and interceptions. Meanwhile, only Kevin De Bruyne and Fernandinho beat his 6.8 progressive passes per game, showing just how important he is in build-up too, possessing the intelligence to roam into central areas to aid the attack and get back to the right flank to stop the counter. Following in the footsteps of Philipp Lahm and Dani Alves before him, while Cancelo hasn't reached the level of either of those legends, he is the latest fullback to be galvanised by Guardiola's methods. Expect to see him continue his evolution next season. Defender, Ruben Dias. One of the least contentious calls in our 11 is the inclusion of Man City's defensive rock, Ruben Dias. After being linked with the likes of Koulibaly and Koundé for the majority of last summer, it took until the 29th of September, just 5 days before the deadline, for the citizens to finally land their long-term company heir, signing Benfica's Dias for just over £60 million. After letting in 6 goals in their first 2 league games, the Portuguese's arrival saw them concede just 7 in their next 19, as City went top at the end of January, a position they have never looked like relinquishing since. While his 77% tackle success rate is very good, it's Dias's ability to anticipate danger and organise his teammates that has really stood out, with Pep's side conceding 10 fewer goals than at this stage in 2019-20. In this calendar year alone, Dias has come up against Salah, Kane, Aubameyang, Vardy, Haaland and Mbappe, and only Salah has managed to score, netting a penalty in City's 4-1 defeat of Liverpool in January. With the 23-year-old leading his side for passes, pass accuracy, blocks and clearances, and Maguire the only centre-back to complete more passes into the final third, the 27-capped international has arguably been the outstanding centre-back in Europe this term. Defender, Wesley Fofana. While we could have easily picked Dias as partner John Stones or West Ham's Angelo Ogbonna, we want to reward Wesley Fofana for a phenomenal debut campaign in England. After being signed as a 19-year-old with 30 senior appearances under his belt for £31.5 million, the second largest fee in Leicester's history, it's fair to say the pressure was on Fofana to deliver. And it's also fair to say that he has and more. Left on the bench for Leicester's surprise 3-0 defeat to West Ham shortly after arriving, he's appeared in every game he's been available for since, and leads his side for aerial duels and interceptions. Capable of breaking the lines with incisive passing, it's no surprise to learn that Youri Tielemans can top his 89 passes into the final third in Rodgers' squad, which is also more than Fabinho has managed in nearly 200 more minutes. The sort of signing that has had every top 6 club cursing their recruitment department, Fofana has been a crucial component of Leicester's Champions League push. Defender, Luke Shaw. Back in the summer of 2015, then Man United manager Louis van Gaal promised the following campaign would be the season of Luke Shaw. 5 seasons later, and it's finally happened. Plagued by injury for 2 years before being continually snubbed by José Mourinho, the Englishman's confidence was shot by the time Ole Gunnar Solskjaer arrived at Old Trafford at the end of 2018, and even last season didn't look good enough to hold down the left-back slot for United long term. But he has looked a man reborn this season. No doubt galvanised by the competition of Alex Telles, Shaw has arguably been United's best player in 2021, essential to the side both in defence and attack. Having spent time last season as a left-sided centre-back, the 25-year-old looks far more assured and positionally aware when taking on opposition forwards, winning 75% of his tackles and 38% of his attempted pressures, the best average in the Red Devils squad. And he's been even more impressive going forward, with his ability to drive giving the United attack an extra dimension, and his average of 2.5 chances created per 90 ranking him third among fullbacks in Europe. For context, Lionel Messi, La Liga's best creator this term, is averaging 2.3 key passes per 90. Finally, Luke Shaw is the star we hoped he'd become. Midfielder Declan Rice. It was a toss-up between West Ham duo Tomas Soucek and Declan Rice for our defensive midfield slot. And while the 6'4" Czech international, who England will have to contend with this summer, would have been a worthy inclusion with no Hammers player scoring more than his 9 league goals, we feel like Rice's all-round improvements can't go unnoticed. The consistent presence of Soucek might have seen Rice's defensive output drop from 5.1 tackles and interceptions per 90 in 1920 to 3.9, but he still completed 17 more defensive actions than any Hammers player. And when it comes to springing the likes of Lingard, Fornals and Antonio into action, Rice's 102 passes into the final third can only be topped by Aaron Cresswell. With only 5 Premier League sides averaging less than West Ham's 44% possession, Rice's ability to break up play and spring quick transitions has been crucial to Moyes' side's success, with only Man United and Leeds topping their 5 counter-attack goals. Rice's passing stats might not stand up to Rodri's, but the 22-year-old Englishman has been the key cog in West Ham's revival, that has seen them earn 27 more points than at this stage in 2019-20. Midfielder Kevin De Bruyne. While Mason Mount has had an absolutely brilliant campaign, ranking second in the league for key passes and successful pressures, and Ilkay Gündogan also deserves enormous credit for an 11-game spell between mid-December and mid-February in which he scored 11 goals and provided 2 assists, we just couldn't leave out KDB. The 29-year-old Belgian, who committed himself to the club for another 4 years in early April, has missed 6 games with injury, limiting him to under 2,000 league minutes, 6th in City's squad. But despite that, his output has been superb, with no player contributing to more than his 16 league goals, while his 11 league assists is only topped by Müller, Kane and Kostic in the entirety of Europe. Only Harry Kane can top his 3.3 shots per 90 in the Prem, his 3.4 key passes per 90 is the best in the division, while he even finds time to complete 2 dribbles a game, the same as Wilfried Zaha. Put simply, De Bruyne is still the most complete footballer in England, and if it wasn't for injury, he'd be a strong candidate for a second consecutive PFA Player of the Year award, which he'd put with this season's Carabao Cup, Premier League and potentially Champions League medals. Midfielder Bruno Fernandes. While some people might question De Bruyne and Rice's inclusions, one midfield slot is not up for debate, that of Bruno Fernandes. The Portuguese Magnifico has taken his game to new levels this season with an extraordinary 26 goals and 16 assists in 52 games to date. He's outscored everyone bar Kane and Salah in the Premier League, while the Spurs striker is the only player to top his 11 league assists. And when you delve beneath the surface, his numbers are even more mind-blowing. He's created 7 more chances than anyone else in the league, completed more passes into the penalty area, and ranks third for progressive passes too. And unlike some number 10s of yesteryear, such as Ozil and Schneider, who were often criticised for poor work rate, only 4 players in Europe can top his 644 pressures. His detractors love to point to his record of 3 goals in 11 games against the traditional top 6, or his plentiful amount of penalties. But with 27 league goal contributions, 1 fewer than Cristiano Ronaldo and 11 more than the next best midfielder in Europe, there's no disputing his monumental impact. Forward Mohamed Salah. Liverpool have had a season to forget, and while Mo Salah has also endured periods of poor form, he remains the Premier League's most lethal wide forward. Between the end of December and January, he went 6 games without scoring, equaling his longest goal drought in a red shirt, and went another 5 appearances without a goal between February and March. And yet, he has hit the 20-goal mark in the Prem yet again, becoming the first Liverpool player to do so in 3 separate campaigns, and at the time of writing is very much still in the running for the Golden Boot. And while 6 of those goals have come from the spot, he still ranks in the top 5 players in the league for non-penalty expected goals, with only Kane, Bamford, Watkins and Calvert-Lewin, all centre-forwards, faring better in this regard. He has no doubt had a down year by his lofty standards, but the Egyptian king has been Jurgen Klopp's only source of inspiration and attack for large parts of the season, with Mane and in particular Firmino struggling and Diogo Jota sidelined for 3 months. Without him, the Reds would have been out of top 4 contention long ago. Forward, Heung-Min Son. First of all, a shout out to Jack Grealish, who may well have taken this spot were it not for him missing so many games in the second half of the season. It's felt like Heung-Min Son has consistently been on fire since the 2016-17 campaign, and yet this term, one in which Tottenham could finish in their worst position for over 10 years, has arguably been his finest. The Korean forward has directly contributed to 26 goals in the Prem at the time of writing, a personal best, and in a season when Spurs fully transitioned into a counter-attacking outfit, his pace, skill and eye for goal has been even more essential. The team's change in style has meant Son has received fewer chances, with his shots per 90 falling to a career low of 2, but he has been more clinical than ever, putting away 16 goals and overperforming XG by almost 5. As a result, Spurs haven't struggled to score this season. Ironically, for a side which has tended to employ a deep block, it's been their defence which has let them down. Whichever manager takes the reign in North London next will be thankful that Son remains a loyal servant. Forward, Harry Kane. Arguably the Premier League's best player this season, Harry Kane hit new heights in 2021. Following 2 years in which he failed to hit 20 goals in the league, largely due to being hampered with injuries, fears began to grow that we'd already seen the best of the Englishman. But we were proved wrong this term, with Kane developing into one of Europe's very best all-round attackers. Whereas before, his tendency to drop deep often hindered the Spurs' attack, leaving a gaping hole in the final third, it has now become a hallmark of their success going forward. His passes into the final third have risen from 1.7 to 3.1 per 90, his progressive passes from 2.2 to 4, while he's creating more chances than at any stage since 2017. And this hasn't taken away from his productivity as a goalscorer. His shots have leapt up from 2.8 to 4 per 90, the second best average of his Prem career. As a result, he's currently leading the competition for both goals and assists. If he succeeds in staying top of both those charts, he'll become the first Premier League player to do so in a season. So that was our Premier League team of the year, but what did you make of it? Like I said, get your team of the season in the comments below and we'll do our best to reply. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave it a like and why not click on screen right now to stick on Football Daily. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.